In the final years of her long and extraordinary life, Dolores Cannon's work took on a new tone, a tone of urgency. She had spent decades mapping the past, exploring ancient civilizations and forgotten lives. But as the new millennium unfolded, the focus of her sessions, guided by the omniscient subconscious, shifted decisively towards the future, towards us, towards now. She spoke tirelessly of the new Earth, of the volunteer souls, of a glorious planetary ascension. Her message was overwhelmingly one of hope, a promise of a golden age just beyond the horizon. And yet, for those who have studied her work closely, for those who have listened not just to the words, but to the spaces between them, a subtle undercurrent of caution can be felt. A thread of concern woven through her later lectures and deepest hypnotic sessions. It points to a final vision, a final piece of the puzzle that she rarely spoke of in detail. Not because it wasn't important, but because it was. It was a vision, not of the destination, but of the final treacherous step before it. A vision of one singular event in the lead-up to 2025 that she confessed on more than one occasion was her greatest fear for humanity. This is not a story you will find neatly compiled in her famous books. It is a truth pieced together from session transcripts, from rare Q&A sessions, and from the private conversations she had with her students. Tonight, we will embark on a journey to uncover this final vision. We will investigate first the decoys. We will examine the obvious disasters she discussed, earth changes, economic collapse, and reveal why none of them were the one true event she feared most. Second, the hidden clues. We will analyze the breadcrumbs she left behind in her work. Clues that point towards a danger that is not external but internal. And finally, the great forgetting. We will unveil the nature of this final test. A profound planetary event of consciousness that represents the ultimate challenge for every soul on Earth. This is the story of Dolores Cannon's final warning. A warning not about what is coming for us, but what is coming from within us. To understand what she did fear, we must first be clear about what she did not. The subconscious through Dolores spoke at length about many coming challenges. These are the decoys, the dramatic headline-grabbing events that, while significant, were merely the stage setting for the main act. Decoy number 1, the physical Earth changes. Yes, Dolores's work is filled with predictions of geological upheaval. Like Casey before her, she spoke of rising sea levels, of land sinking, and new lands rising. She warned of earthquakes, volcanoes, and a shifting of the poles. These events sound terrifying, and indeed they will be disruptive. But did she fear them? No. Consistently, the subconscious described these events as a cleansing, a necessary, and ultimately positive purification of the planet. It was seen as a symptom of the Earth's own ascension, shaking off the old dense energy like a dog shaking off water. For those on the right frequency, the message was always, you will be in the right place at the right time. Do not fear. The Earth changes were a side effect, not the main event. Decoy number 2, the collapse of the old systems. Dolores also spoke extensively about the crumbling of our 3D structures. She foresaw a collapse of the global financial system, a disintegration of corrupt political structures, and a questioning of mainstream medicine and media. She saw a period of chaos as the old world fought for its survival. But was this her greatest fear? Again, no. She and the subconscious viewed this collapse with a sense of satisfaction. It was the necessary demolition of a prison. It was the tearing down of the old rotten scaffolding to make way for the new crystalline structures of the 5D world. The chaos was seen as a sign of progress. A messy but essential part of the planetary rebirth. It was a reason for excitement, not fear. Decoy number 3, the alien intervention or disclosure. A significant portion of her work involved extraterrestrials, our space family. She spoke of their role as our genetic forefathers, as our silent observers, and as our helpers during the shift. Many in the spiritual community expect a grand disclosure or even a mass landing to assist humanity. But did Dolores fear this? On the contrary, she saw our space family as benevolent. The subconscious was clear. They operate under a strict law of non-inference. They will not save us. They can only help those who have chosen to help themselves. Any grand intervention would be a response to our own vibrational achievement. A welcoming party, not a fearful invasion. So, if it wasn't the planet shaking, the governments falling, or the aliens landing, what was it? What could possibly be more dangerous than all of these combined? The clues she left point to a battle that is not fought on the surface of the planet, but in the deepest recesses of the breadcrumbs are scattered throughout her later work. They are not obvious, but once you see the pattern, it's impossible to ignore. They all point to a final test of consciousness. Clue number 1, the emphasis on the test. In her earlier work, Dolores often used the school metaphor, but in later years, a new word became more prominent, the test. She began to speak of this entire lifetime as a final examination. The subconscious in a 2011 session stated, "It is the time of the great test. All souls on earth at this time knew this before they came. It is the final exam. You do not get to take the books with you." What does "you do not get to take the books with you" mean? It means your intellectual knowledge, your collection of spiritual theories will be useless. The test is not of what you know, but of who you are in your deepest core when the pressure is on. It is a test of your vibration, your emotional mastery. Clue number 2, the warning against the wall of fear. Dolores frequently told a story in her lectures about the death process. She said that some souls upon death are so consumed by fear or guilt that they create a wall around themselves. They refuse to go to the light. They become trapped in a self-created illusion, a ghostly loop. She then began to apply this same concept to the living. She warned that as the frequencies on Earth rise, our own unresolved fears, traumas, and negative thought forms would become amplified. They would rise to the surface to be cleared. But she cautioned, if a person refused to face them, if they clung to their fear, they could create a similar wall around their consciousness, trapping themselves in a low vibrational reality while still alive. Clue number 3, the crescendo prophecy. This is the most direct clue. In several Q&A sessions, when pressed about the timing of the shift, Dolores used the word crescendo. She said, "It is not one single event, but a building up of energy, a crescendo. And right at the peak, right when the music is loudest, is the moment of choice. A crescendo in music is the moment of maximum tension, right before the resolution. What if the shift itself is preceded by a moment of maximum internal tension? A planetary wave of psychic and emotional energy designed to bring all our deepest fears to a deafening roar. When you connect these clues, a final exam where you can't use your books, a warning about self-created walls of fear, and a prophecy of a great crescendo of tension, a chilling picture emerges. The event Dolores Cannon feared most was not an external force that would destroy us, but an internal one that would cause us to destroy ourselves. And so we arrive at the heart of the final vision, the one event Dolores Cannon feared most. It is not an earthquake or a solar flare. It is an event of consciousness. I call it the Great Forgetting. Imagine this. In the period leading up to the final vibrational split in 2025, there will be a planetary energetic event, a crescendo wave. This wave is not negative in nature. Its purpose is divine. It is designed as the ultimate catalyst, a final purification. This wave will act as a planetary amplifier. It will sweep through the consciousness of every single person on Earth and amplify whatever is dominant within them. For those who have done their inner work, who live from a place of love, trust, and compassion, this wave will feel like bliss, like ecstasy. It will amplify their light and solidify their place on the new Earth frequency. But for those who have not done the work, for those who still harbor deep unhealed wounds, repressed traumas, and subconscious programs of fear, lack, and victimhood, this wave will be a nightmare. It will amplify their deepest fears into perceived reality. Their anxieties will feel like premonitions. Their insecurities will feel like undeniable truths. The wall of fear Dolores spoke of will manifest around them, not in the afterlife, but right here in their minds. This is the Great Forgetting. It is a state where a soul bombarded by its own amplified negativity momentarily forgets its divine nature. It forgets its mission. It forgets that it is a powerful creator. It forgets all the spiritual knowledge it has collected. It forgets that it has a choice. In this state of profound confusion and fear, the soul identifies completely with its own personal hell. It becomes trapped in a feedback loop of its own creation. And in that moment of forgetting, it makes its final choice. Not from a place of wisdom, but from a place of pure, unadulterated fear. By choosing fear, it solidifies its resonance with the low-frequency old Earth timeline. It fails the test. Not because it was judged by God, not because it was unworthy, but because at the final critical moment, it forgot who it truly was. This is what Dolores feared. She didn't fear the bad people. She feared for the millions of good, well-intentioned souls who simply hadn't done the deep, uncomfortable work of facing their own shadows. She feared for the spiritual collectors, the passive followers, the bypassers who would arrive at the final exam without having truly prepared and would be completely overwhelmed by the contents of their own subconscious mind. It is the ultimate cosmic tragedy to journey for thousands of lifetimes to arrive at the very gates of paradise only to be turned away by the ghost of your own unhealed past. This prophecy and its terrifying brilliance is also a gift. It is the ultimate motivation. It tells us exactly what we need to do. If the final test is a test of memory, then our work is the art of remembering. How do we ensure that we will not forget in that final crescendo? We practice remembering every single day. We build our spiritual muscle memory so that our default state is one of peace and trust, not fear. Every time you feel anxiety and consciously choose to breathe and center yourself, you are practicing the art of remembering. You are remembering that you are not your fear. Every time you are triggered into anger and choose forgiveness instead, you are practicing the art of remembering. You are remembering that you are a being of love. Every time you feel lack and consciously practice gratitude for what you have, you are practicing the art of remembering. You are remembering that you are an abundant creator. Meditation, shadow work, time in nature, acts of service. These are not hobbies. They are your training. You are training for the most important moment of your soul's entire journey. So I invite you now to make a commitment to this practice. Go to the comments and declare your training regimen. Write, I am practicing the art of remembering. My daily act of remembering my true self will be, and then name your practice. Will it be meditation, gratitude, journaling, conscious breathing? Let us create a library of remembrance, a testament to our collective commitment to pass this final test. Subscribe because our Point Taken channel is dedicated to providing you with the tools and wisdom for this essential training. The crescendo is coming, but we will not be swept away by the noise. We will be the calm in the storm. We will be the ones who remember, and we will walk into the dawn of the new earth together.